Hello guys! Today I want to present my analysis result for a story. This story is titled The Road from Korean, an Australian memoir. This story tells us about someone who saw the terrifying sight as he went out to get firewood for the stove. The scene was a dense, black and sulphurous yellow cloud with reddish shades, rushing towards him without making a sound. Sounds scary, right? Yes. No birds were seen or heard at the time. Why? Because they were taking shelter. They were all hiding. That's the story. And now I will tell you about the structure of its contents. The shapes of this story are chronological and concrete. There are two parts right here, chronological and concrete. The first one is chronological. So, why is this story chronological? That's because every scene was explained sequentially. And so, this is different from a temporal text which will get messy about its sequence of events. Now for the second one. Why is this story concrete? This story is concrete because the writer described the situations in their real forms. The writer did not use a symbolic meaning for each object. So when the writer said cloud, it really meant cloud. When the writer said no birds were seen or heard at the time, it really meant that the birds were hiding. This will differ between a concrete text and an abstract text. Why? Because a concrete text describes something as a real thing, while an abstract text describes something symbolically, making the text harder to understand. One interesting fact is that a detailed information will make us understand the situation better. For example, in this text, the dust storm was described in detail, including its location of occurrence, its colors, and its direction from the first person. The writer really wrote the story full of tense, and it seems scary, like the writing cloud was approaching silently. The writer also wrote terrible dust storm, which was terrifying when we think about it. Just imagine that we are seeing it approaching us at a high speed. A black and sulphurous yellow at the heart, varying shades of ochre red at the edges. And that was the cloud. From that imagination, let's go to another interesting fact. We may conclude that the writer described this story using words and phrases that are imaginable to human sight. As an example, the writer wrote that suddenly I noticed that there were no birds to be seen or heard. The surroundings were described clearly, and that was so informative. So, for the birds, it sounds like, please follow the story plot. The birds were hiding, being scared of the dust storm that was happening. It was understandable that when the storm happened, there were no birds at the scene of incidents. This kind of imagery were effectively used by the writer, and full contents of the story were easy to understand. To simplify this, the story gave us a detailed information about a dust storm happening during the time. The writer explained everything completely clear and used some words and phrases that were easy to understand, yet made us feel like while we are reading the story, we are at the scene. The first person perspective was meant to be us, experiencing the tense of the story. Thank you for listening to my analysis presentation. See you guys!